disorienting as recording out of order. I'm so out of practice with it. Today is very exciting. I'll be vlogging my Summerween reading. What is Summerween? It's a wonderful reading challenge hosted by Olivia and Gabby from July 2nd to July 8th. You get to read spooky books like horrors, mysteries, and thrillers to enjoy the spirit of Halloween and spooky season in the summer. I was really glad that I was able to make my travel theme work for these two. Alright, let's get into the prompts and the TBR. 1. Read in the dark. City of Ghosts. Basically, any book would work, but I feel like this book in particular would be really great to do in the dark. I also feel like since I picked a lot of shorter books, I can try to do this for all the books. This is the first in a series I've been wanting to get to for a while that feature some of my favorite cities. Read a paranormal. Tunnel of Bones. This is the second book in the Cassidy Blake series, which features ghost hunters. 3. Read a horror. Mexican Gothic. I've heard a lot of good things about this, and I'm sure it'll be super scary. I'm a bit nervous because I have heard it's kind of weird. 4. Read a book with Halloween colors. One Poison Pie. I kept going back and forth on this one, but I like how this one has all the colors. It's also a cozy mystery, so I think it'll be good after Mexican Gothic. 5. Make a treat or drink to go with your spooky read. London Fog Latte. The name is creepy enough that I think it's a great choice. Essentially a fancy Earl Grey, but I haven't gotten it right at home before. Since these are so short, I did have 2 other books I'm hoping to pick up if time permits. Bridge of Souls. The conclusion of the Cassidy Blake series, which takes place in New Orleans, which is probably the one I'm going to look forward the most to. I'll try to add this one in on the last prompt because I really want to read this series all in one go for a challenge, and this seems like the perfect time. Ghostland. This is about a trip around to places known to be haunted here in the States. It sounds like such a cool idea, and I'd love to visit more of these. Those are the books I hope to read this week. I'm very excited to take part in this challenge. I'll start at midnight, and I think I want to start with Mexican Gothic and get the scariest out of the way. Alright, we have day 1, Mexican Gothic. So a lot happened this night. I was in a mood from some stuff related to the move. I had spent the day getting spooky by watching my favorite gimmicky paranormal investigation show. I also kind of did not plan well to stay up to finish a book. I did manage to get about halfway through Mexican Gothic in just about 2 hours, so I totally could have managed it in a night like I had hoped. This was also with some other planning issues as mishaps. Okay, so issue 1. I wanted to read all my Summerween pics in the dark, even if the prompts technically only called for this once. I had sadly forgotten that I didn't have a working book light. I tried to see if I could make it work with the light from my laptop screen while watching an ambience room video. No luck. I tried the flashlight on my phone. That worked, but it was too bright, hard to place, and made charging challenging. I ended up frustrated by that and tried to make a little mini fort for reading under the covers vibes, but it wasn't comfortable. I ended up putting on the bedside lamp instead of the overhead light. That worked, but it didn't really work the way I'd hoped. My lamp also protested this as the little plastic turn knob broke into pieces. But now onto the part you care about, the book. I really like this, and I'm glad I started with it. It definitely was the one which seemed most scary. I did really like this first half of the book. It definitely messes with you. The nightmare sequences are so creepy, and it makes you wonder. This does contain this weird scene, which I might have to flag for dubious consent, which was very odd. I was also really conflicted over the characters. I could see all their sides, so I couldn't really blame the Doyles for being angry with Noemi and her disrespect. But I also understood that there was something off about them, and that their expectations were rather ridiculous. Both were in the wrong, and I was more on Catalina and Noemi's father's side of wanting to get her better medical care. I definitely am getting the sense that this is going to be one of those no survivors types, but we'll see. The writing style is really beautiful, and the sensory description is spot on. It really had me creeped out. Also got a quick book of the month box. And these are all rather spooky as well. First, we are The Brennans by Tracy Lang. This is about an Irish American family who is suffering losing their pub potentially. And so the main character has been estranged from her family, but after a drunk driving accident, she returns, and all of the family secrets are at risk of being exposed as she tries to go back and also deal with her ex-fiance. Second, we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I don't know much about this, I've just heard it a lot on recommendations from Olivia Reads a Latte and Katie D. Colson's channels. And I've heard that it's like one of those paranormal haunting houses mysteries, but it doesn't like leave you in suspense of is this actually paranormal or not. Knock at Every Door, also by Riley Sager. This is about this girl who takes a job apartment sitting. It's well paid, but there's lots of restrictions, like, what is it? You can't have things like social media and that kind of thing. No visitors, no disturbing all of the other residents. And there's also a mystery that comes into play as some of the residents start going missing. And then we have a cute little bookmark. This one says the original red receipt. On the other side, book of the month. Alright, that's it for today. Let's do some more reading. We have some spooky vibes with the storm today. Check in later. Alright, got the book light issue fixed. Let's get spooky. Okay, just past about page 212, and we're finally getting answers, and what? I cannot with this. This is weird. Alright, gotta try to finish these last 80-some pages. Okay, so we just finished Mexican Goblet. So weird. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Very creepy. Very creepy. But kind of happy ending, I guess. On to the next. Okay, gonna start One Poison Pie. It is still July 2nd, which is technically only day 1, but I did sleep in between, so I'm gonna try to see if I can knock this out as well. It's a very short one, under 300 pages. I think it's possible. Let's go. Okay, just dive a little bit into One Poison Pie. I kind of knew that this would be a little odd, but this one is about a kitchen witch, and her magic is particularly related to homemaking, so we'll see about that. I kind of said most of what I wanted to yesterday and in the clips last night, and I'm still kind of confused how to number things. Anyways, I started it July 2nd at midnight, read a couple hours to the halfway point before going to bed, and picked it up again at 9 p.m. So, less than 24 hours. I had a lot of fun with those clips actually, and it definitely helped set the mood, I feel. Anyways, this book was definitely creepy and messed with my mind. I would definitely say it had that gothic element to it, which made me really happy. It was definitely one where I was uncomfortable with the different aspects of the people of the house being controlled. I didn't really appreciate all the eugenics talk and the dubious consent stuff which went on. It was a happy ending in a way, But I left the book feeling that I cared more about them not dying or being trapped in the house than I did about them actually being happy. Overall, a good read and a strong start. 3 stars. Okay. I did pick this one up late July 2nd after finishing Mexican Gothic, and also got about halfway through before going to bed around 1 a.m. Not loving this trend, but I am still on track to finish all the prompts. I do want to pick up the pace a little bit, even if I'm not sure how. I did also solve the what to do before Get Stark Out issue since I'm vlogging. During the day, I will write the script for reflections, transcribe the clips, do some light editing, and put these clips together, and film these sit-downs. But back to the book. I'll insert a picture of the cover, but that will also be on the letterboard behind me. One poison pie. So I wasn't really liking much about this first half. The characters themselves were fine, but nothing that really got me invested. I was really curious about the magic aspect of this story. I knew going in that her magic was mainly related to cooking, and that she was more of a kitchen witch. But I would have appreciated a bit more variety in the types of witches. They didn't really get into what other people's strengths are yet, and there were some kind of odd comments about coven practice which seemed to reflect poorly on actual Wiccans since they were a bit stereotypical. The mystery element is quite good, and I'm curious to see how that is resolved. So far, it doesn't feature that travel element that I had wanted to either, but alright. Back to reading. Okay, about to make some tea. I was going to do a London fog latte, which is just Earl Grey, steamed milk, and vanilla. But I have not much vanilla, so I kind of want to save that for just the final prompt, so that way I can try to work in another book. But I guess a little milky tea will still work. bowl over the head blanket thing. But if I want to sit up, it doesn't quite look like it's gonna work. Just waiting a little bit for it to get a bit darker. It's a couple minutes out from sunset. Got my tea, got my book, ready to go. Okay, so I'm about to page 200 in One Poison Pot. This mystery is getting really interesting. Like, it's going a lot deeper than I expected. I can't wait to see how that works out. Trent. I really like him, so I'm very nervous that that's gonna somehow come back to bite me. But I'm also glad that we're getting a little bit more information on the magical system there. Or, well, not magical system, but, like, their interpretation of witches. So close to the finish line, and it's about 10 o'clock. So let's try to get these last 70-ish pages. Okay, sorry. Hopefully this is enough. So, there's about 30 pages left. And, there is just a lot of drama that happened very quickly. And I still haven't solved everything, so I'm kind of like, pacing's a bit weird. I'm kind of digging it. We'll see. That's book 2 for Summerween done. Check in tomorrow. Another book down. I finished One Poison Pie around 11 last night. I decided to leave it at that because I'm not loving this whole half book nonsense. It had been a pretty good day with coffee, lots of reading, a nap, cuddling with the cat, but I didn't want to completely mess up my schedule, since even though I'm on break as a student, I do still need to work. I also tried to implement a bunch of things that didn't really work out. Kind of regretting how much random vlogging I did, but it's all part of the process. So, the second half of the book kind of resolved a bit of the issues I had in the first half. We got to hear a bit more about the take on the magic world. A little bit better, but still not great. I was also left wondering about Trent's magic, even though he doesn't practice. The ending got a bit weird for me. She was at the center of so many plots that all came to a head at once, which really seemed unbelievable. I felt like most of the action was within the last couple of chapters, so the pacing wasn't my favorite. I was glad for once that I could trust a character that I liked, at least. And I did think Trent was a very sweet romantic interest. Overall, it wasn't something which impressed me a lot, even though I had fun using it for this. challenge, 2 stars for me. It was okay, but not great. Well rested again, ready to take on the next. Okay, so I just finished part 1 of City of Ghosts, and it's really interesting so far. I really like Schwab's take on the afterlife and how the near-death experience Cassidy had has impacted her, and the bringing in of the photography. I also really like the parents' work, and I'm curious to see where this novel adaptation documentary gets it into. I'm excited. Okay, so I just passed the 100-page mark of City of Ghosts. Yes, I've gotten into the habit of removing dust jackets for my hardbacks. Usually I have some really nice detail I want to see when I'm reading a book. Anyways, I'm just past page 100, and it is so good. Like, I would love to have Cassidy's parents' job. Like, that would be the dream. But research. Ugh. Yeah, it seems really good so far. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this book. It's about 10 o'clock. And I'm somewhere between a third to halfway through the book. It's slightly under 300 pages. So I'm hoping maybe I can get this finished tonight. That would be great. So that way I can stay on track and pick up Tunnel of Bones tomorrow. But I'm loving everything about this book. The creepiness, the blend of Modern Academia, having the little kitty imprint on the cover. Yeah, it's all good. Check in later. You can tell because I returned the dust jacket. It's little before 11, so I finished this in just 2 hours. A very distracted 2 hours, might I add. One of the benefits of middle grade. So I definitely think I'm on pace to keep it up. I love this. And here are the stories. I'll talk more about tomorrow. My final wrap. Night. I've been editing a lot today, and trying to catch all the things I've been saying, so that way it'll be easier to caption this later when I upload. And oh my god, my editing self is hating my recording self. Why do you keep saying, okay, so, why can't you speak more clearly? You know how important it is to enunciate. Why do you speak so quietly? I'm very angry with my past self. She makes it very difficult on editing self. Moving forward, I will try to be better about all this. Let's hope recording me remembers this. Hard to believe that we are at the halfway point. First off, yes, I know. I'm sorry my hair was a mess yesterday. I had tried something which didn't work. Let's move on to the book. This was such a fun read. This was the book I picked for the Read in the Dark prompt, even though I've been doing that for all of the books. It definitely added to the experience like I had hoped. And I really loved reading this. Edinburgh was one of my favorite places to visit, and this book had me wanting to rush back with all the sensory description. I love haunted histories and local history, so I loved how Schwab brought that in. It also made me really want to grow up to be a mix of Mr. and Mrs. Blake professionally. It would be so cool to be one of those historian consultants. Again, pretty much everything worked for me. I also really appreciated how, even though it was clearly a middle grade book, and the characters felt young, it wasn't written in a way that was inaccessible for an adult reader who is not the target audience. Overall, a great time. Easily a 5-star read for me. Pretty good so far. Not terribly far into the book yet. But a bit uncomfortable. My stomach's a bit better, but posture. There's also a lot of fireworks going off right now because it's July 5th. Check in about halfway through. Okay, so I said I wasn't gonna do that anymore. Just got to the halfway point in Tunnel of Bones. Should have guessed, especially from the cover, that the catacombs would be the major part of this, and I have to agree that's an excellent choice. When I was in the catacombs, there was definitely an energy there, like, it was creepy. It really was. I'm really liking the poltergeist that they brought in and the different types of spirits. That's really cool. A little bit of getting to see some of the sites. Paris, like what happened, Edinburgh, you know, there's a mix of ones I've seen that are really famous, and I'm guessing some which aren't as common, and I didn't get to just based off of time crunches. I'm really liking it so far, and it's definitely upping the playing field. Like, it doesn't feel a typical Monster of the Week style, which I like. They're also adding some drama with the whole but what's going to happen to Jacob the longer he stays here, linked to Cassidy, which is cool. Can't wait to find out what's happening in the second half. Still on a good pace to be able to finish this up tonight, as long as the fireworks don't get too bad. But it sounds like people are headed to bed now, so hopefully it'll be quiet for the rest of the night. Just finished my next book, book 2 in the Cassidy Blake series, which is Tunnel of Bones. I don't know. It was really interesting, and it built a lot on what we saw in book 1, and I love seeing the growth in the characters' powers. It's a bit disappointing to see a little bit of the potential mistrust developing between Cassidy and Jacob, but I'm glad that is kind of resolving and that he's trusting her more. It was this really interesting mystery, and I'm really excited to see where the conclusion is. The ending left a lot of questions. That's it for tonight. It's 10:41, so finished in under 2 hours again. We got this. Is it really Summerween without a Wednesday Addams hairstyle? Last night was kind of a hot mess. I had some stomach discomfort for about an hour after dinner. I was really nervous about finishing this one on time because I had foolishly signed up for the 9 a.m. shifts at work for the next few days. And even though I kept with my regular sleep schedule for these few days, I am so tired. I tried to distract myself before reading by fussing around with my setup. I was really determined to do the under the covers thing, even though my back does not go for it. I kind of raked a blanket overhead, but that was hard to get it to stay in place at the right height for more of a blanket flirt. I kept that for about 1 chapter before giving up and going back to my usual boring setup. Before reading, I also got really distracted by some design aspects of the series, since this is technically mismatched. I have the final book from Al Great Jr., and I think there may have been some changes which bug me, because I'm a fan of order and consistency since I'm on the cusp of Virgo Libra. This also impacted this cute sticker thing I wanted to do in the book, since the title page would look best, but the text size was changed in the different editions. Moving on. Another really good Summerween read. I really liked seeing the growth in Jacob and Cassidy's powers, as well as their friendship. The poltergeist child antagonist was really interesting, and I liked the way Schwab differentiated between regular ghosts and poltergeist. While this antagonist did a lot more damage than the Raven in book 1, it was more creepy than scary, and the creepiness really stemmed from the fact that it was a dead kid from the catacombs. I did appreciate that it didn't come across as Monster of the Week and that the poltergeist was woken by Cassidy and Jacob. There's some really excellent picks for the sites, but this one didn't feel as creepy. Very fair since the cities in this series are so culturally different. The description of Paris as being more elegant and modern fit, but I preferred the more spooky vibe. I'm curious to see more about this Black Cat Society. 4 stars for me. I still really liked it, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the last book. But I just wanted more spooky vibes throughout instead of just isolated to specific locations. Take 2 on my London fog latte. Got tea, vanilla. I filled up enough milk. Ooh, that makes me sad. Sorry, milk. So. It's 8:54. For some reason, I feel like it's not as dark as it usually is around this time. Even though sunset was technically a minute earlier tonight. Maybe it's just because of my laptop being open on a brighter thing than usual. Let's hope it's that. I got my tea. Got my book with its special bookmark just for it, which I've been using the challenge, and I've got the Al Craig Jr. playlist curated for this in collaboration with Swap. Happy reading. Just reached the halfway point in Bridge of Souls. Oh my god, this is so good. Like, I want to cry because I've been to so many of these places and I really wanted to do almost everything they've listed. This book, it's making me so happy. Seriously, I'm about to start crying. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm really loving this. This is exactly what I wanted to get out of this book. I want to go back to New Orleans so bad right now, and not just for the beignets. It was so good. It was so good. I'm so happy. Check in tomorrow. Tolerable hair day. What? Gotta love wash day. Totally dragging myself for the mess that has been my appearance this week. So this was probably my favorite night. All I had to do was make a treat or drink. I tried to do a London fog latte, but that was a fail. I used so many ingredients and it just didn't turn out that great. Whether it was too much milk, too much vanilla, or not enough sugar, who knows? I think I need to abandon my home attempts for now and leave it to coffee shops. But Bridge of Souls more than made up for it. I had such a great time reading this. I was almost in tears with how much I loved it because I actually did a ghost tour featuring some of the sites in the book, and it was such an amazing experience. This book was a great blend of scary and creepy that I had been hoping for. We got a lot of the answers to some of the questions that had been raised throughout the series. I did enjoy the resolution, especially since it had been built up as something where it's hard to see a resolution without someone suffering. I was also listening to the Owl Crate Jr. playlist for this book, which made it so much fun. There was a lot of jazz, which is so integral to New Orleans culture. Absolutely loved this, and definitely glad to have finally gotten to this series. 5 stars, without a doubt. Gotta love when your read is not what you were expecting. Even when you read the summary. Great. Not my favorite read, which is disappointing to end on. The description of this book is very misleading. It has very little to do with factual hauntings or history, but is rather about how certain sites have been used as source material in fiction. The author isn't even a historian, which really pisses me off as a historian. This also made it seem that there would be some travel writing to this, and we'd hear the author's own experiences at these sites as he made like this road trip, which was a big part of why I wanted to read it this month with my travel theme. Nope, very little of that, and the one part was just like, meh, it was just a place. It was very academic, which didn't bother me much. He did have some really interesting points on what inspires us to believe in hauntings and commented on the racism involved in many of these stories. I didn't necessarily appreciate essentially being called a spiritualist. As much as I was glad to hear more about this movement, I feel there's a very big difference in what spiritualists attempt and what some haunted history tours attempt. While I'm not as much a fan of the theatrical tours, which hire actors and provoke jump scares, many don't seek to make connections with the alleged spirits, and they usually won't exploit a person's connection to a lost loved one. The tour I took in New Orleans was great. It just gave us some great stories and history while showing us the quarter. It was entertainment, unlike seances. Technically, last night, a few more hours. Let's see if it gets any better to end on a good note. Okay, so on chapter 12 of Ghostland of 16? Yeah, around 16, so just a couple left. Slightly better, but still not loving it. 2 more, a little under 2 more hours of Summerween left. We seem to be getting some answers about why the author feels a certain way. Makes a lot of sense. Things in the second half got a little better. Some of my issues yesterday showed improvement, and I was admittedly a little harsh. I still would have liked this to contain actual personal accounts, but I guess the author just didn't have any. The author did actually find out that someone he knew had been turned into a ghost story, which explains a lot of his attitudes towards it. While there's always the potential for these stories to get misused, it seemed that all the author was saying was that they were awful, even though they're important to people on a personal level. It just felt very generalized in a way I learned as a historian is rarely beneficial. I'm not sure if I would have kept reading it if it weren't for this challenge. I was very tempted to DNF it. 2 stars, but that's the last book of Summerween. Popping in real quick to show the book sleeves I got from Rachel's Etsy shop. Happy Go Lovely sleeves for Summerween. Aw, cute note. I can't imagine how hard it is for independent creators, especially with shipping drama. I had my own, which is why it didn't come until today, but it's fine. I know it's not something she can control, and I'm just glad I managed to get them. We have summer spools. And happy bats. They're so cute, and I'm so happy with how they turned out. Whenever I do these types of challenges, I like to end with a ranking. Number 6, Ghostland. No surprises, I didn't really have a lot of good to say. Number 5, one poison pie. It had an interesting premise, but was ultimately too unbelievable with how much was going on. Number 4. Mexican Gothic. Definitely creepy and scary, but not really my vibe. 3. Tunnel of Bones. Not enough scariness, but a great story. Number 2. City of Ghosts. A wonderful ghost story in a city I love. Number 1. Bridge of Souls. Such a perfect Summerween read. Exactly what I had wanted. That brings Summerween to an end. I had such a good time with this. I managed to creep myself out a little bit. Definitely got into my own head about things. I read all of these in the dark, so there were many times I had that sense of being watched or that there was something there. That happens a lot for me with stories about hauntings as much as I love these things. I can't wait for the next challenges. I don't remember hearing of any Halloween challenges, but I'm excited for Winterween. I think I'll break up the vlogs more then, because this is a beast. I'll stop rambling because this vlog is already about 5 years long. Thanks for sticking around and see you next time.